Hi boys and girls. Today we're going to read the book, Are We Still Friends? On the cover of this book, I see a little mouse and a little bear. It looks like they're hanging out outside. I wonder if they're friends. Are we still friends? Beatrice and Abel lived side by side, with a low stone wall between them. Abel grew apples, Beatrice raised bees. They were the finest of friends, indeed, and so were the bees and the trees. In summer, when honey filled Beatrice's hives, she hollered, "Hello, Abel, you free?" And he crossed the low wall to help gather sticky, sweet liquid. Oh, it looks like they're gathering honey together. In autumn, when apples filled Abel's trees, he called, "Hello, bee, please." And she crossed the low wall to help harvest the ripe red fruit. In winter, the bees and the trees rested, so Beatrice and Abel rested too. Side by side, they spread crispy toast with apple butter and sipped warm tea with honey. So in the beginning of this story, think about what it's like for Beatrice and Abel. Beatrice and Abel needed each other all year, but especially in springtime, when Abel's trees filled with flowers. Beatrice's bees needed flower nectar to make their honey. Abel's trees needed bees to spread their pollen to make their fruit. Back and forth across the wall, the bees flew. So it looks like they're working together in all the seasons. Until one spring morning, whack! Abel smacked into a branch. Ouch! The smack startled a bee. Zing! The bee stung Abel right on his nose. Yow! Abel yammered. Wee hee hee! Across the wall, Beatrice heard Abel squeal. What a silly laugh, she thought. Wee hee hee! She laughed back. Was Bee laughing at him? Abel wondered. He rubbed his sore nose. Blasted Bee, he bellowed. Was Abel talking to her? Beatrice wondered. Don't you hollow at me, she yelled. Pie face. Pie face? Abel sputtered. Well, you're a fuzz brain. Wormy core fuzz brain. So what is their problem? Back and forth the words flew until Beatrice and Abel marched into their houses and slammed their doors behind them. There sat Abel, his hurt ripening like a big round apple. Pie face, he sputtered. I don't need her or her bees. And there sat Beatrice, her anger buzzing like an insect. Fuzz brain, she muttered. I don't need him or his trees. But outside, the bees continued their quiet business. Back and forth, across the wall they flew, sipping nectar and spreading pollen, just the same as always. Abel scribbled a sign and planted it where the bees would see it, but the bees didn't care about that sign. No bees allowed! Beatrice built a fence to keep the bees on her side, but the bees didn't care about the fence. Up in his attic, Abel gathered a jumble of junk. He piled it high on the wall. Down in her basement, Beatrice found a mishmash of trash. She stacked it on Abel's jumble. Sour apple, Beatrice snarled. Fuzz brain, Abel answered. And you know what the bees did? But Beatrice and Abel didn't care. Higher and higher they stacked and piled. So what are they trying to do here with the bees? Until, clank, something slipped. Clink, something dipped. And with a clatter and a crash, the whole teetering mass tumbled into the bee yard. What a mess! In all that tangle, there wasn't a sign of Beatrice. Oh no, what is the problem here? Hello, Abel called. No answer. Hello, Abel shouted. Where was she? Then he heard something. It could have been the bees or the wind in the trees, but it seemed to be coming from the pile, and it seemed to be saying, hello, hello, Abel called, hello. At last, Abel found her. Hello, Bear, he whooped. I thought I'd lost you. Hello yourself, she croaked. I thought you didn't care. Abel offered a hand and helped her climb out. I thought you were laughing at me, he said. I'm sorry, I thought you were insulting me, she said. I'm sorry too. Are we still friends? Indeed. So how was their problem solved? They looked at the yard. What a royal mess. I'll put everything in apple pie order, Abel promised. I'll help, Beatrice said. So, side by side, they cleaned everything up. Back in Abel's kitchen, they spread crispy toast with apple butter and sipped warm tea with honey. We're mush minds. They were the finest of friends indeed, and so were the bees and the trees. Just the same as always. So in this story, their problem is that they weren't getting along, but they both were having a misunderstanding. They didn't think that the same thing had happened. So at the end, they were able to be there for each other. They were able to become friends again at the end of the story. So what lesson does this story teach us? What can we learn about friendship? I think it might teach us that even when we have hard times, we still can be a good friend and count on each other. So you'll see there is a recipe in here for apple butter. So I will post that with the story if that's something you would like to try making at home with your family for fun. Thanks for reading. See you soon.